Go on.
Go to Barrett.
Heidi's going to talk first, and she is going to tell you about her topic, which is child sexual abuse.
Janelle Robinson was molested by two of her grandfathers. The first one started when she was 2 years old and lasted until she was 6. People only found out because she kept having bladder infections. Then when she was 9 or 10, she was molested along with her cousin by her other grandfather. After a year of this, she told her parents and was sent to jail. Later in life, she started doing drugs and was attempted suicide. She was put in a group home because her mom didn't know what to do with her. And finally, after a year, she decided to face her abuse and deal with the problems. And she's still in therapy today. The story was taken from the book Beginning to Heal, 1993. Child sexual abuse is a big problem today and has enormous effects on children. However, with help, it is possible to overcome it. These facts and stats are taken from Sexual Abuse in Christian Homes and Churches, 1993. What is sexual abuse? It is whenever anyone with less maturity or power is tricked, trapped, coerced, or bribed into a sexual experience for the gratification of the abuser. Usually the power imbalance is from differences in age, size, position, experience, or authority. Often this can mean children. I don't think people realize how much it takes place. But in the book Beginning to Heal, 1993, it said 1 out of 3 and 1 out of 7 boys, 1 out of 3 girls and 1 out of 7 boys are abused before they turn 18. Abusers can be women, family members, friends, neighbors, teachers, counselors, priests, babysitters, or strangers. Looking at these stats is surprising, but what do the victims actually feel, and what do they have to go through? That brings to the reactions that they may have after they're abused. One is they might have physical problems. They might have trouble sleeping. They might think that their bodies are ugly and dirty. They have eating problems. They can't concentrate, like in school. They start using drugs and alcohol to take away the pain. They have problems in relationships. And another one is they're promiscuous. They could become. And in an article in USA Today, August 31st, 1995, it related how the welfare problem is related to child sexual abuse. Because when a child is abused, then they
far?
It was 6 minutes, maybe 4 seconds.
And we go outside. Well, I made use of all my objects that I had collected. And one day I went and bought some gas stoppers from the machine downstairs. And this is a perfect case for sunglasses. And my heart shaped. I thought, I've been putting these in my bag without a case, and they've been getting scratched up. And so, what's the use of putting on sunglasses with a blurry vision? So, I just stuck them right in my handy case here when I was starting to do my gas stoppers. And now they are protected from all the scratches and the blur.
Back bending and creative methods of yoga.
Imagine yourself a student in the yoga school of the Hindus. Under the guidance of a teacher, you are on your way to moksha, the separation of your soul from the rest of yourself. Here are the 8 steps that you'll have to go through to meet this goal. Number 1, you'll have to have a disciplined behavior, which is called yama. Number 2, self-purification. Number 3, bodily postures. Number 4, control of breathing. Number 5, control of senses. Number 6, fixing of the mind on a chosen object. Number 7, meditation. Number 8, samadhi stage, which is the state of concentration when you realize your soul is pure and free. Congratulations! You have achieved total isolation of the soul from the body, from all other souls, and from all of nature. This practice of the Hindu religion and the school of yoga is where the modern form of yoga originated, which is the health exercise. The process of exercising the body and soul by yoga to result in a healthier self includes knowing the purpose, learning the breathing techniques, and putting the body into extraordinary positions. Okay, the first step is to examine and explore yoga and know what are the benefits of yoga to your health. What is yoga? Well, to the Hindus, it is an exercise with the goal of isolation of the soul from the body and mind. But to the Western world, in the United States, it's an exercise to improve health and achieve peace of mind. The actual word yoga means discipline in Sanskrit, which is the language of India. Why is yoga a good exercise? Well, number 1, it lowers the resting heart rate. It's not exactly like running, like cardiovascular, but actually putting yourself in a position and breathing steadily, it'll decrease the heart rate. then sometimes in some classes that I talked to a teacher of yoga, she said that at the end she turns on some soft music and you lay in a relaxing position, and it's just really relaxing. Now that we know why someone would want to do yoga, we can go through an important aspect of yoga, which is the breathing technique. When you breathe, you don't want to breathe through your nose. You want to breathe more from your throat. And the woman that I talked to who teaches it, she said it's almost like Darth Vader on Star Wars. It almost sounds like that. And kind of slow breathing. I can't really do it, but you'd have to learn that. And then you hold each posture for 5 breaths. So the breathing is relaxing, but it's also a timing device. It's approximately 30 seconds. Now for the involved part of yoga, which is actually putting your body in the postures. The cycle is you put yourself in a position like this, and then after 5 breaths, you glide into the next, and so it's kind of like dancing. But then each posture has a specific aim to for your health and body. This first one here, the bridge, that works your back muscles. You can see why. But holding that, you can increase your back muscles. The second one, the locust, that helps your spine. The plow, that is great for relieving backache. The headstand right here, that looks pretty difficult, but it strengthens the heart and improves blood circulation. The cobra here, that is abdominal exercise. And the wheel right here is spectacular because it attacks areas where fat tends to accumulate. So, now we have gone through the important steps of yoga, and yoga is not a real widely used exercise, but the healthy outcome both mentally and physically has been increasing its popularity in this hectic and fast-paced world. A young man batters a priest with an axe. He then strangles a woman and then stabs another. A young boy in Chicago raises his fist to his playmate. In a tropical island, 40,000 were dead because of political conflict in a bloodbath. Why is there so much violence? Why do humans naturally result in violence? Well, I propose that instead of using violence to solve our conflicts, we should use nonviolent methods. First, let's talk about why humans naturally use violence to solve their conflicts. Well, you would think that no one likes to suffer. So, and that's what violence causes. And humans naturally recoil from violence. It's kind of like a child watching a horror film, and they're like, I can't look. It's like, we just want to stay away from violence. But what we actually do, and if you look at, the society today, we do like violence, in a way. Through entertainment, on TV, that's all you see. feel that instead of just taking that natural violent nature that we have, we can use some self-control and take the suffering onto ourselves instead of putting it back on the people who are creating it. I once heard somebody say that you can't paint a wall white with black paint. That's like you can't make peace by using violence. Using violence to stop violence only creates more violence. Like if you're, say, somebody kills your mother, what you want to do naturally is to kill them because you're so angry. But if you kill them, then they may be somebody's mother, and then they're going to want to kill you. And so it just keeps going on and on, where people want revenge, and then it doesn't get anything out of it. Instead of using violence, we can take the suffering onto ourselves, as I said, and turn it into truth and love. You can, usually a lot of people think that their enemies are evil and bad and that they should destroy them. But we're all mortal, and we can find humanity, morality, and conscience in everyone. You know, we're all human, and we can't just destroy each other, because we're all alike and we all make mistakes. And we all have that natural thing to want to get revenge and bring violence. One man who used nonviolent methods that was definitely worked and made a big impact was Gandhi. I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but England had control over India, the country, and to fight for their independence, he used nonviolent methods. And by doing this, it's so hard to do that. You know, it's just easy to say, oh, let's go fight, you know, to get our independence. But using, like, love and, like, turning violence around can just bring good results. And that made a powerful impact, what Gandhi did. Also, another story is the Montgomery, Alabama bus boycott. Instead of acting out in violence because of segregation that was going on, they just boycotted the bus, and they took the hardship onto themselves by walking to work instead of taking the bus. And by just taking that kind of unnecessary hardship on themselves, segregation was abolished in the United States. You can also think of it as, instead of trying to get victory over your enemies, you're trying to get reconciliation and peace. If you want to make this world a better place, then you should use nonviolent methods to resolve your conflicts. In a beautiful tropical land, palm trees swaying, blue ocean splashing against the shore. Doesn't this sound like paradise? Well, in reality, this place is just about the opposite. This paradise land is actually the third world country of El Salvador. Last spring, I had the opportunity to travel to El Salvador and live with a family for a week. This new experience and environment taught me a lot and broadened my view of life. Now you're probably wondering why I would go to El Salvador. Our church has connections with a community in El Salvador, and like every year, a group goes down and just visits them, see how they're doing, and we usually help them money-wise. And this community has pretty interesting history. Well, first of all, El Salvador, if you don't know, it's located in Central America, which connects North and South America. And the community is called Valle Nuevo, which translates to New Valley. And it's called this because back in the early 1980s, these refugees fled during the Civil War, and hundreds crossed this river into Honduras, and for 9 years they lived in Honduras. They had basically nothing. They had to just flee their homes, and many died, and it was a pretty big deal. And then in 1991, they went back to El Salvador after the Civil War was done, and right now they're rebuilding and recovering from their stay in Honduras. They have come a long way since then, but when I was there, I could clearly see that they still live in poverty. Probably wondering what it was like, what were the conditions. Well, the house that I stayed in with this family, that was one of the nicest. It had cement walls and was made out of cement. It had 3 rooms, and each room had a door leading out to the porch, and that was their home. But most of the other homes were made out of tin or wood or other scraps that they found. So they had, of course, they had an outhouse, which is pretty disgusting, and that's one of the things I really appreciate here. And because the outhouse was across from the house, like in their yard, and so we had to walk. It's pretty small and disgusting. One night it was like dark, and I was gonna go to the bathroom before I go to sleep, and I opened the door and I had a flashlight, and I shined the flashlight in there, and there was beetles all over the seat. I'm like, okay, I'm not going to the bathroom. I just didn't go to the next day. But, and also showering, that was a difficult thing because they have a community fountain for water that they have to walk to and carry water back to their house. And that's where most people bathe. It's just at the public fountain. And women, it's not, tasteful to just take off your shirt and wash yourself in front of anybody who walks by. But I was lucky because they set up some blankets around this barrel of water, so I could just wash myself there. Also, it was interesting, they had fences around their yard, around their house, so the cows won't come in, because their cows just roam free. Not opposite of here, we keep cows in a fence, but they keep their house in a fence. But also, you're really dirty, because it's really dusty and hot, and you're just covered with dust, so you just get kind of used to it. But all the kids just run around and they're dirty all the time. And you're probably wondering what I was doing down there and what I did for a whole week. Well, most of my time was spent with the kids, just playing with them. It was funny, the first day that we got there, we were driving in this pickup, and we had to drive like 5 hours out of the country to get there. And we were coming down this road, and we turned around the corner, and we came out onto this big field, and it was a soccer field. And there was a bunch of kids playing on the soccer field, and when they saw our pickup coming, they started jumping up and down and shouting, and then they chased after our truck, and they were so excited that we were there. And they just come up to you, and they like circled our truck and helped carrying our bags and stuff. And they just stand there and smile and then put our names and everything. But also when I was there, we met with committees in the community that they're trying to establish just to improve their conditions. There was like, we met with the women's club and sewing group that sold clothes, and also a soybean bait operation. Like these just women work and make snacks out of soybeans, and that's healthy for the kids. It's really nutritious for them and important to their health. And so that's basically what we did. One day, every year they take a walk to the river that they crossed back in 1980s when they're fleeing. And it's kind of like a reenactment of that. And we got up at like 6:30 and took this 2-hour walk to this river. And that was really hot. Because then we had to, it was really nice when you got there because you got to swim. But then on the way back, I felt pretty sick from the heat because it was around 2 o'clock, which is like the hottest part of the day. And so that's what we did all day that day. And along with all the activities I did, I also made a lot of observations about people and their way of life. Like how the trip affected me was pretty important. As I told you, my favorite part was the kids, just because they're so affectionate and they just come up to you and hold your hand and just look up at you and smile, and it was surprising to me that they're so loving and like they were happy. And they have so much energy even though they live in these conditions. And so also I gained a lot of respect for people as a whole, because somehow out of their hardships that I can't imagine going through every single day and everything that they've gone through, they're happy and they're hopeful. And they're, as Sean was saying, they're determined to improve their conditions and their way of life. And they're also very generous. Like when we were there, they brought us meals every mealtime, and they would give us like the best food. And you can tell that they don't eat as good as they were feeding us. You know, I mean, we eat good every day, and so it's not like we really needed to eat good while we were there, but they were just generous like that. Did that for us. And through the trip, I had 2 responses. I felt thankful for everything that I do have, and you kind of just reflect on, like, you know, you miss your basic things that you take for granted here. You know, when you're living there for a whole week, it seems like a long time, and you kind of get used to all that, but I'm thankful to come back and eat this food and go to bathrooms here. But, and then I also felt frustrated with myself and just kind of feeling selfish, and because like when in everyday life when I complain about like stuff in my life, it's like, you know, just be thankful for what you have. And so living with and getting to know these people made me see that they are real people and that they want a good life just like we do. And through this experience, I gained a lot of respect for them because of their strength